Hey there. So, a little upset to my schedule today. Upset, not in like angry, but just change, right? So, usually Saturday mornings, like today, I do my good life meditation in the morning, and then I come to the beach promptly thereafter to do my morning swim. I mean, not my swim, my reading of Going Alone. But today I decided that this weekend was the weekend I'm going to get through the editing of Stoic Voyager, my AI generated, Going Alone inspired book. And I did it. So I just sat there at the computer after I did the Good Life meditation and just powered through it. I hadn't looked at the book. I hadn't looked at the completed. I knew I had it in just about a finished form. I hadn't looked at it for a couple of months, just not at all, which is a good way to just let the old impressions fall away. And then when you can read it again, it's like seeing it for the first time. It's like kind of like if you're making a new recipe in a restaurant, right? If you try to taste it and refine it over and over again, you're so familiar with the taste of it that you can't really sense the changes. You don't get the real feeling. But if you stop for a while and then try again later, you get the full thing. Likewise with this. So taking a couple of months off to actually let the book just sit and soak, and then to read it again for the first time after that time, brought it back full force. And it's done. I only had to suggest a few small changes to the AI. I mean, literally just like 2 or 3 vocabulary items. It was like at one point it had said something about referring to the Going Alone principles, and I needed it to remind it that the Going Alone consists, I mean, the Good Life principles, and I needed to remind it that the Good Life consisted of objectives and principles, and it made that change. But in what I typically do then is I'm not actually changing, I'm not writing it myself. I suggest to the AI, I'll see a paragraph and I'll see the way it's written. I'll read, oh, there's a mistake there. I'll give that paragraph back to the AI and say, hey, you know, it'd be better if it was like this. And it would, it then just makes the change. And then I pop that back in. And so after having not read the book in months, I was kind of astonished and blown away. Afterwards, I told my wife when I came out of the office and told her what I had done, that I was done. She said, what did she say? She said, first she said, with a glint in her eye, she said, so you're saying, Kurt, because I told her the book is better than anything I could write. She said, so you're telling me, Kurt, that it's better because you didn't write it. And I told her, I responded, I said, yeah, in fact, it's the best book I never wrote. I made her laugh. So that's done. The soft copy is in the process of being published now. Next up, after that comes out, I'll take a look at that, get a copy of it, and then if that looks good, then I'll publish the hardbound and then the ebook on top of that. And then we'll be in good shape. But now, there's not enough time to do my book reading. So I went ahead, and after I was done with getting the book all uploaded or finished, I then clean the house, and then I've come to do a beach swim. After that, I'll go home and go have lunch with my wife, and then go have do our shopping and do our usual Saturday stuff. I do plan to clean the windows in the afternoon as well. I think I saw a comment or two. Great something beach, Huntington Beach. I don't know why these comments always get messed up and I can't read them. It's all like overlap stuff. Boink, I can't. So I'm afraid I can't read your comments. Sorry. Okay, let's go for a swim. I forgot to lock it. I think. There we go. Saita, Saita, Chulipuna, Hanaga, Naranda, Naranda, Akashiro, Kiro, Dono Hana, Mitemo, Kire. Morning. Boom, boom, boom. Hachigato boom. Oiki no mawari ni yohana ga saitayo. Boom, boom, boom. Hachigato boom. So what kind of wabi-sabi morning has it been? The vision that comes to mind is astonishing illumination, the brilliance of AI shining through. The key element being that the AI actually understands. Look at that guy with his guitar on the bike. The AI actually understands the things that I tell it. That's a key element, because I get pushback from a lot of people telling me, hey, it's just predicting the next word. Yeah, that's true. But it's predicting the next word in a substrate of understanding, in the context of understanding what we're telling it. That which is truly just absolutely astonishing. There we go. Let's take a look. Oh, look, the water's been coming up high. See how it's coming up over the top there? Flooding that foreground area up there. I think I'll just go swimming right out there. That's where I usually go anyway. The yoga people are done. Oh, look at that. That's nice over there. It's funny how we get into a habit, right? I am deeply into the habit of going into the ocean right there. Almost going into the ocean at any other part of this beach would feel like going to a foreign beach. It's got to be this area right up here. But that's just where the flood is coming up, right? So I was talking to Emiko last night, and we were talking about AI, and I was telling her that I had developed this process of creating an AI intern, and it's a bit of a proprietary thing, and I was telling her I have no trouble sharing it with anybody, because of course my interest is not profit but sharing. But I told her I say that it's astonishing how people just don't try. They give up. They'll give AI a try once or twice. They'll either not be impressed with the results, or they'll see that it didn't give what they wanted, and they'll say that it's stupid and it can't do it. Or they'll see the potential, but they'll just continue carrying on in their old ways. so few people seem really interested in using it. Okay, see how it's all flooded right there? That's where I got the splash video that's on the back of my, there, see how that water is just kind of traipsing up there? That's what got me with the splash. I was just about in that same area, and the water just came up around the top. Okay, let's go for a swim. And say boom, 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 hachigato boom. Oike no mawari ni ohana ga saita yo, boom, 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 hachigato boom. Hey, I think I'll go right here, kind of a high spot. This'll do. So just in case a rogue wave comes up, see how these have kind of come up here and then kind of around here. This should be good. Even if a rogue wave spills up onto the sand, I should be in good shape. So he says, so I think, so I imagine. Says me. Says who? Says me. Why you? I don't know. What do I know? Nothing. Well, a few things, but they kind of amount to nothing, don't they, in the end? That's a pretty good pound on the shore there, right? Oh my God, look at that. Right, the water's right there. I guess I'm not far enough back. So much for thinking I was safe here. Imagine going in the water and coming back and the camera all washed away. I guess I'll have to go back a little further. I think I'm safe here, but given that I'm leaving you guys on your own, I need to be extra safe. And I can say boom, 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 hachigato boom. Oh, yo boom, 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 hachigato boom. Boom, 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 hachigato boom. Okay, no mawari ni ohana ga saita yo. Boom, boom, hachigato boom. Hey! I say hey! You know what I'll do? I'll put this like this. Cover this up. Doink. And I'll put this. I'm so scared of the sea. It's so irrational. But the ocean scares me. Yet I can't resist. I can't not go in. Oh, I forgot my glasses. Where did my glasses go? I know I'm gonna regret it if I don't go in the sea just because I'm scared. Scaredy cat. Scaredy cat. Scaredy cat, I'm a scaredy cat. I'll still go in, but I'm scared. Let's go take a look together. Come on. Oh, there's a seagull. See, that guy's gonna get a ride. Maybe. Maybe not. See, that beach slam there is pretty powerful. It's just gonna slam right on the beach. Boom. And I'm just not strong anymore. I'm just weak. That's not bad. Oh, come on, Kurt. You can totally do that. Don't be a wimp. Pound. That guy's going out. Oh, okay, go, dude, go. Oh, wait. Is it a surf contest down there, maybe? Maybe. Oh, this one looks like it might come all the way up to my feet. Let's see. No, not enough momentum. And there's seems to be no longshore current dragging people around. That's good. Is this one coming up to my feet? I think it is. Right up to my toes. Yay! Ooh, good slant pound there. Hey, like I said, I've got my very first YouTube member. Thank you. I forgot your name. I was looking for a way to reach out to you to say hi and thank you. I don't know of any good way to do that. But thank you, my first YouTube member. I really, really appreciate your membership. Just like I appreciate my patrons. Much appreciated. Well, I think it's time for me to get in the water. Let's go do it. And I'll say, boom, 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 hachikato boom. Oike no mawari ni ohana ga saita yo, boom, 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 hachikato boom. Hey! do, do, do. Poink. I'll have to put you here. Can't have you any closer, the water will get you otherwise. I'll be back. got my butt kicked. Good, really, really, really nice waves. Good waves. But the first one I went out and I paddled out just into the pound zone, just as a big scorcher came. Just lifted right in front of me. No place to hide. Hit hard, exploded right in front of me. And I just felt the tendrils of the wave come reaching down, grab me, pull me up, slam me against the bottom twice, and then spit me back out. And then I just swam out. From there, I just got out just past the kill zone. I didn't ride any waves. It was too dangerous. Just slammed me right on the beach. But awfully fun. And the water is it's cold, but it's just that perfect type of cold that just brings out the best. Ah, gosh. I'm gonna miss this so much. There's nothing like this in Japan. Huntington Beach is one of a kind in that capacity. Surf City, USA. Okay, let's continue reading. Continuing from the life of Boswell's presumptuous task, the making of the life of Samuel Johnson. The debt incurred by his father. James' contribution was such that the Shakespearean edition became known as Boswell's Malone. Perhaps this task distracted him from looking into his father's journals. He died suddenly in 1822 at the age of only 43. Meanwhile, a succession of volumes have been offered to the public which plundered the life and the earlier biographies of Johnson's most memorable sayings. The first of these, the Witticisms, Anecdotes, Jests, and Sayings of Dr. Samuel Johnson, was published in 1791, within months of the life itself. Another, The Beauties of Johnson, followed the next year. Dr. Johnson's Table Talk, I would love to get copies of that. Dr. Johnson's Table Talk came out in 1798, and further similar volumes appeared on a regular basis. Within 30 years of the publication of the life of Johnson, an anthology of Johnsonia, compiled from Boswell's book, had been published in a series called The English Prose Writers. Thus, Boswell's record of Johnson's conversation became acknowledged as part of the Johnsonian canon. Around the same time, Sandy had become Sir Alexander Boswell. From 1816 until 1821, he served as a member of Parliament for Plympton in Devon, perhaps a surprising seat for a Scotsman. But then James Macpherson had been MP for Camflord in Cornwall. Sandy purchased this seat at heavy expense, an extravagance that even his father had been sensible enough to resist. His fervent support of the Tory cause in the House of Commons was enough to earn him a baronetcy in 1821, and he retired from public life. And Alexander Boswell was a literary man, a better poet than his father had been, and a keen antiquary, particularly interested in the Scots vernacular. He established a private printing press at Auchinleck and put forward the idea of erecting a monument to Burns on the banks of the River Doon. Unfortunately, he shared his father's tendency to abuse his political opponents in the newspapers. When the victim of a series of such attacks, James Stewart of Durham, discovered that the anonymous antagonist was Sir Alexander, he called him out, to a duel, no less. In the 19th century, no less. Indeed, Stewart could hardly do otherwise, since Sir Alexander had accused him of being afraid to draw a trigger. The duel took place on the 26th of March, 1822, on farmland in Fife. Honor was at stake, but it seemed that neither man intended to hurt the other. Stewart fired without taking aim, and by an unlucky chance his shot hit Sir Alexander, who had fired into the air. What? The baronet died of his wounds the next day, aged only 46. The distraught Stewart was charged with murder. A conversation between Boswell and Johnson, recorded in the life of Johnson, in which both men expressed their approval of dueling, was cited by the defense at his trial, and he was acquitted. Sir Alexander's son, wow, you couldn't write that. I mean, you couldn't write a novel with that kind of intrigue. That it cycled all the way back to Johnson's citation of dueling, or was it Boswell? A citation of a conversation between Boswell and Johnson, of the dead man, in approval of dueling the dead man's father, no less. Sir Alexander's son, another James, then only 15, succeeded to the title and inherited the estate, though his inheritance was so burdened by debt that he was advised to renounce the succession. Sir Alexander had left his affairs in even more of a mess than his father, much more so. In fact, several years passed before Sir James was able to reach an agreement with Sir Alexander's creditors, and not before further sales had become necessary. Sir Alexander's widow, the Dowager Lady Boswell, lived on until 1864. She continued to discourage approaches from outsiders interested in looking at the family papers. Half a century after Boswell's death, she was still said to dislike greatly any allusion to Dr. Johnson, considering that her father-in-law had degraded himself and his family by acting the toady to him. Oh, if they could only know how history would regard them later. The family distaste for their famous ancestor, if anything, increased as the years passed. His great-granddaughter was said to encourage visitors to Auschwitz to take pot shots at his portrait, so that it was shot practically to pieces. What? The copyright in the life of Johnson had lapsed in 1805. That was the portrait to take pot shots. To take pot shots at his portrait. So that was the portrait that Boswell had paid, was it Reynolds, to paint, but never paid him. The copyright in the life of Johnson had lapsed in 1805. In 1829, the politician and essayist John Wilson Croker proposed to the publisher, John Murray, an entirely new edition, with much more extensive annotation. He planned to identify many of the anonymous individuals in the text and to supply extensive notes on the matter of the time, the state of society, the character of persons. Nearly 70 years had passed since the famous encounter in the Tom Davies bookshop, and much had changed in the meantime. By now, including that many of the people cited were dead. By now, Croker argued readers needed help to identify references that would have been familiar to Boswell's contemporaries. I can vouch for that, because when I read The Life of Samuel Johnson, I did not understand what would have been contemporary references that made sense to everybody else, but not me, 200 years removed. More controversially, Croker wanted to expand the text to include not only the Journal of the Tour of the Hebrides, what? That would be a huge addition, but also a mass of Johnsonia not written by Boswell, including the whole of Mrs. Piozzi's anecdotes, much of Hawkins' Life of Dr. Johnson, and extracts from the lesser works of Murphy, Tyers, etc. That would be a huge volume. You'd have to have like 3 or 4 volumes. In fact, what Croker was proposing was a complete scholarly and respectable equivalent to the unauthorized compilations that had been appearing ever since The Life of Johnson was first published. Murray replied to Croker's letter the same night, agreeing to his proposals and offering him 1,000 guineas for his work as editor. This offer proved acceptable. Croker set to work assiduously, and his edition was published 2 years later in 5 large volumes. Yeah, no doubt. I wonder if that was Octavio? It contained plenty of new material, including 300 of Johnson's letters, 100 of them unearthed by Croker himself. Now, what year was this? Hold on. 1829. So this was 5 years after the set of Johnson, complete works of Johnson that I have at home, which was published in 1824. So the books I have are older than this. Did I say the price? The offer proved acceptable, blah, 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 blah. There's notes. 100 of them. It contained plenty of new material, including 300 of Johnson's letters, 100 of them unearthed by Croker himself. He also contributed nearly 2,500 notes, many of them contemptuous of Boswell. Thus, paradoxically, the appearance of a prominent new edition of Boswell's book contributed further to the decline in his reputation. At the same time, Croker omitted altered or regulated to appendices much of what Boswell himself had written. One curious effect of Croker's approach was to imply that Boswell's Life of Johnson encompassed all other books on the subject. It was as if Boswell had taken complete possession of his master. His was now the official biography, indeed, the only biography. Indeed, incidents originally recorded by Hawkins or Piozzi were now to be found only in Boswell's, since Hawkins and Piozzi's books had gone out of print long before. Johnson's writings, too, had fallen out of favor, though 12 editions of his collected works have been published between 1787 and 1825, and I've got one of them. I've got the 1824 edition. I've got one of them. So I didn't know that. 12 editions were, do I have a pen with me? Let me make note of that. 12 editions. Though 12 editions of his collected works have been published between 1787 and 1825. After that, there would be no more for a century. Johnson was known to the Victorians principally, so mine, must be the last or the next to the last collection. Johnson was known to the Victorians principally in the works of Boswell. Like Sir Alexander, Croker was a Tory, a friend of Canning's and, later, of Peel's, credited with introducing the term conservative into politics. He was a regular contributor to the Quarterly Review, known for his vicious attacks on writers of whom he disapproved. His review of Endymion was said to have hastened Keats' death. What? I shouldn't laugh. As a result, he was a much-hated man. I think I've got Endymion on my bookshelf right now that I'm reading. I just haven't encountered. I was reading a poem of Keats this morning, in fact. I was reading Ode to a Swan or something like that. As a result, he was a much-hated man, caricatured in several novels of the period, most famously as Rigby, a political factotum to the Marquis of Monmouth in Desiree's Coningluby. I never heard of that. The appearance of Croker's edition prompted the publication in the Edinburgh Review of one of the most damning reviews ever published by the Whig essayist and historian Thomas Babington Macaulay. Like Croker, Macaulay was a member of Parliament. Croker had ridiculed him on the floor of the House of Commons in the debate on the Reform Bill, and Macaulay had developed a violent dislike, bordering on hatred for his opponent. Now, he savaged Croker for mutilating Boswell's text in the most wanton manner. Croker's edition, according to Macaulay, was ill-compiled, ill-arranged, and ill-printed, swarming with monstrous blunders. As bad can be. It was, in fact, worthless. Macaulay's devastating attack, combined with those of other reviewers who proved almost as critical, forced Murray to employ another editor to make radical revisions to the book before it could be reprinted. I wish I could get a copy of that. But the most lasting effect of Macaulay's onslaught was not on Croker, but on Murray. Or on Murray, but on Boswell. For the next 100 years or more, generations of schoolchildren brought up on Macaulay's collected works would form their opinion of Boswell from Macaulay, just as they would form their opinion of Johnson from Boswell. What goes around comes around, right? In 1910, Walter Raleigh would write that for every reader of Johnson's works, there have been perhaps 50 readers of Boswell's life and 100 of Macaulay's essays. It suited Macaulay's purpose to praise Boswell as the non-parial of biographers, comparing him to the champion racehorse Eclipse. Boswell is the first of biographers, he wrote. He has no second. He has outdistanced all his competitors so decidedly that it is not worthwhile to place them. Wow. Eclipse is first, and the rest nowhere. Even so, Boswell, according to Macaulay, was one of the smallest men who ever lived, a man of the meanest and feeblest intellect, servile and impertinent, shallow and pedantic, a bigot and a sot. bloated with family pride and eternally blustering about the dignity of a born gentleman, yet stooping to be the tale-bearer, an eavesdropper, a common butt in the taverns of London. Holy crap. A man of the means. Well, from what I've read, I'd have to say probably agree. Macaulay's invective helps to explain why the Boswell family continued to feel so sensitive on the subject so many years after the biographer's death. He was always laying himself at the feet of some eminent man, and begging to be spat upon and trampled upon. Though he damned Croker for disfiguring Boswell's text, Macaulay united with Croker in denigrating Boswell himself. There is not in all his books a single remark of his own on literature, politics, religion, or society, Macaulay continued, which is not either commonplace or absurd. Almost everything that Macaulay said about Boswell was true, yeah, but he presented a one-sided picture. Nobody would have recognized from Macaulay's description the man whom everybody likes, the Boswell whom Burke described as the pleasantest man he ever saw. To Macaulay, Boswell was a dunce, a parasite, and a coxcomb. To Johnson, and to many others who had known him, he was a sweet-natured innocent, a man with, no doubt, ridiculous opinions, but one whose zest and cheerfulness made his company a tonic. It is perhaps worth remembering that Boswell had shown both Macaulay's grandfather and his great-uncle to disadvantage in his Journal of the Tour to the Hebrides. Macaulay's grandfather had been revealed as the victim of one of Johnson's most famous rebukes. "Sir, you are so grossly ignorant of human nature as not to know that a man may be very sincere in good principle without having good practice." Sir, you are so grossly ignorant of human nature as not to have known. Let's move this right over here. I don't get it. Sir, you are so grossly ignorant of human nature as not to know that a man may be very sincere in good principles without having good practice. Oh yeah, right, of course. Do as I say, not as I do, right? Looks like the tide's been down a little bit. Let's take a look. Doesn't seem a lot of sign of the water coming up too much higher. Maybe a little more. By implication, Macaulay's contempt reflected badly on Johnson as well as on Boswell. What kind of man was it who chose to keep company with a toady? For Macaulay, the answer was clear. Johnson was a die-hard Tory, the intellectual defender of those brutal and illiterate squires left behind by the progress of history. Macaulay was the Whig historian par excellence. He specialized in attacks on Tory heroes. Dean Swift being another of his victims. In fact, the Johnson that Macaulay disliked. By implication, Macaulay's contempt. There's a homeless guy walking down the street getting pretty mad. By implication, Macaulay's contempt reflected badly on Johnson as well as on Boswell. So, let's just reflect on that for a second. It's a shame. So, certainly a moment, right? So, that gentleman is clearly something wrong. Came down the stairs, I could see him. He's still yelling. He's very upset. came down the stairs and sat next to me here. And I was aware he was there, but I think he was just kind of keeping an eye on what I was doing. And something triggered him and he got upset. Maybe he does. And then, so he's storming off. That's probably a good enough time to stop this, too. I need to get back to my wife. Let's go take a look at the water first, though. Pound zone. Wow. I was just out there. Woo. Oh, he's gonna get slammed. Oh. All right, man. Wabi-Sabi. I need to come up with a Wabi-Sabi song of some sort. Wabi-Sabi, Wabi-Sabi. Every day is Wabi-Sabi. Wabi-Sabi now, Wabi-Sabi then. Wabi-Sabi ways, Wabi-Sabi days. Every day in every way, it's Wabi-Sabi. There's a group of young adults right here. They're here to pick up trash. Ain't that cool? Yep, they're gonna go pick up trash. Good for them. Big slammer, big slammer. Okay, so today for lunch, Yumiko and I are gonna have our usual. Should I get my usual though? We always have lunch at Tokyo Central in Costa Mesa on Saturday before we do our shopping. I told Yumiko the other day, I said, what food do you want to have before we leave Japan? Before we leave America? What do you want your last meal to be? Or I said, what foods do you want to have experience before you leave? And she said, how did I say it? Maybe I said was, what would you want your last meal to be here? And she said, sushi. That's kind of telling. Came to watch Kurt rub lotion into his skin. What a disappointment. See you new something, Kurt. When you go back to Japan, you'll have your skin looking shiny and supple. That's right, shiny and supple. Hey, Speedy. Okay, I think I am done at the beach for today. Although maybe I'll come back in the afternoon. Ooh, there was one word I wanted to look up. Hold on. What was that word? There you go. Whist. Whist. It's a game. A loss at whist, whatever the hell whist is. I'll have to look that up. Ah, good day. Let's go. Like my socks? Let's head on back. Look at those waves, man. That was a good day at the beach. See, there's something big going on over there. That's the dog beach. Wonder what's happening. There's the pier. Guy's doing some sort of thing. Oh, football drills. Cool. What kind of airplane is that? Have a look at this. Interesting looking airplane. Is that an old World War II player? There it is. Kind of looks like it, huh? Huh. Wait, where did I park? Oh. I parked over here. I think. Yeah. I think. Wait, where did I park? Oh. One more street? One more street. I missed it by a street. Where did I park? That way? Okay. This guy tells me. Is that broccoli? My shoelace is falling off. Here's a curious planter. What is that? Aloe vera, maybe? Perhaps. Cowboy country. So, this beach outing is about to end. My car's right there. So, what a fun time at the beach. I would say this ranks up there in like the top 5, maybe the top 3 beach days that I've had here in Huntington Beach since moving here. And boy, was it worth it moving here. Best decision. And do I wish that I had moved here from the beginning? No. By coming here when we did. So in the 10 years that we've lived here, in coming back to America, we've, I'll just leave the swimsuit on. Since the 10 years we've lived here, we've lived in Irvine, various places in Irvine, Moreno Valley, not Moreno Valley, Menifee, and now Huntington Beach. Now I lived, before my family came, I lived out in Moreno Valley and Colton, East Colton, Southwest Colton, one of those. Each one of them had its own unique character and flavor. Which one would I prefer? If I could only live in one, it would be Irvine. Yeah, I'd give up this beach for the atmosphere and culture of Irvine alone. It just feels like feels like more of a cultured environment. That's important to me, or at least the kind of culture I like. All right, I'll sign up for now. Have a Wabi-Sabi day. Well, you can't help it. I gotta think of a way to end this. You can't help but have a Wabi-Sabi day. Enjoy your Wabi-Sabi day. Make the best of your Wabi-Sabi day. I'll do the same. Take care. Bye-bye.